Hello again. Now, I realize that this is not the most complimentary setting for the webcam to illustrate my good looks. But we're after the good looks of the rainbows, and I think that's a beautiful meditation. So I hope you don't mind me being in the dark and in the shadow, and if you do, well, sorry about that. That's your problem. Okay. I want to share some things, obviously, or I wouldn't be here. I had another 1:30 a.m. journal come. I mean, this time I actually had the lights out, and I was on my way to lay my head down, and I watched myself open a journal. And it's a strange one. So I'm not here to share that with you right now, but for whatever reason, I haven't done it for a long time. I just watched some Abraham Hicks clips. I used to enjoy listening to Esther, channel Abraham quite a bit, but it got to a point where I just couldn't identify with it anymore because they talk so much about these rockets of desire. In order to manifest something, to make the law of attraction work, you've got to have this intense desire. And I have been in the midst of a surrendering lifetime, and it just got too strange for me. I began to even wonder if there was some ulterior motive or intent behind it to keep man trapped in his desires. And I mean, it feels really good. The energy does feel really good. I don't feel like it's dark. And I didn't find, and I looked, any kind of dark intent there. But those were just the things that were going through my mind as I was trying to work my way through why was it I didn't want to listen anymore. And so eventually I just walked away from it. You know, things work for a while. And for that while, they're great. But you'll know when to move on. Okay? So I moved on. It's several years later now. And I'm seeing things differently. And so I'm playing around here. I'm not coming to you with solutions. Journals are not about solutions. As a matter of fact, I have just got to share with you and I'm writing it down so I don't forget, to share with you a clip that is such a hoot. It's only 12, 14 minutes, something like that. And they use orgasm as an example to illustrate their point. And it's so delightfully done. I don't want to ruin it for you, so I won't say any more. But manifesting things, a lot of people are into that. And more power to you, you know, and to everyone who's into that. Absolutely. I might even join you shortly, all right? I don't know where things are going. Like I say, I've been doing the surrender thing for a long time, and it's not even a doing. It's like things were just falling away, and there was a not caring about things anymore. So it was like surrendering was doing me, okay? And so it didn't mesh with Abraham for a while. Now at least, well, now it does, parts of it anyway. And I'm exploring that. The journals are not about coming up with a solution and then coming to you to give you the solution. That's really, life is about us putting things together our own way, coming to our own solutions. And besides which, if I come up with one that works for me, nothing says that it will work for you or feel right, you know. So, all right. I'm going to contrast my walk and understanding of being in heart with Abraham. Now this is the Abraham Hicks, you know, not the biblical Abraham. Although heaven only knows, you know, there's no reason the two couldn't be the same. You, my friend, are all kinds of characters that in this lifetime you would disown and wouldn't even want to talk to, and you're living those lives right now. So remember, in this lifetime, the conscious mind is only 5% of your mind, and this lifetime isn't even 1% of who and what you are, or even of all of your lifetimes. So let's get down into heart. Let's set all the beliefs to the side for a while, you know, and just let things go. Be the empty cup. Be willing to explore, to investigate, to experiment. And then you can choose down the line what to keep and what to discard. All right, but meanwhile, we can have some fun playing together here. So, Abraham Hicks talks about in order to manifest something, you don't really have to do anything. Just living your life will help you do that. The trick then is getting out of your own way. Now, I'm summing that up terribly. I haven't really deeply studied Abraham, so don't let me speak for them. Abraham is a plural. That much I do recall. It's a them instead of a he. I think Abraham was just so that Esther could have something to call a noun, a name. All right, so they teach law of attraction a lot. And see, the other, or the same, the reason that I left is I don't want things. I don't have desires for things. And so much of what they're saying is how to manifest your desires and how to get out of your own way. And it just got boring. But maybe I'm a few spirals up the ladder of light, the rungs, you know, the spirals that we're on. And with each turn, we have a new perspective. And when we look down to the previous one, it looks so much simpler. And we have an increased understanding of what was going on there. A linear way to say this is that hindsight is always 20/20, but that is so linear. I don't suggest even thinking about it that way anymore. Things are cyclical and spiral and spherical in 5D, and that's where you are. If you want to be aware of being there, make the shift. Spherical, spiral. Okay. Interesting. So, wanting things. This walk that I've been on of doing the surrendering has gone on long enough that I don't notice any tight clinging to anything anymore. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, I couldn't lose the home or the car or something happen and all of a sudden I discover I had a clinging. But at this point, I think I've shared a time or two that I generally leave the house, you know, 3 or 4 times a year to grocery shop. I do a big shop, and I don't need to go anywhere. I'd do anything. I'm just content, you know? There are not needs here that are unfulfilled. There's not emptiness. There's not seeking. So you might wonder, well, what use would I have for Abraham then, if that's the case? Well, my mind never would have brought me to it. But for whatever reason, I found myself watching the clip, and I realized there were some consonances there. For instance, I need a car. The one I have right now, it has 120,000 miles. That's not really so many, and I prefer older models. I don't want all the newfangled computer invasive technology. But it's not been the greatest. It has so many things wrong with it. And now the mice have nested and chewed on wires and things so that only 2 windows work and the other 2 are stuck half open or partly open. It's just, the air conditioning went out years ago, and when it's in the 90s here, in the 30s centigrade, this body doesn't handle that well. So yada, yada, yada. There is what could be called a need for a car. It's a practical thing. It's not that I want one. I don't really care. Just something that works and that is safe and reliable. All right, so even though there aren't any rockets of desire here, what I'm seeing is that from a distanced sort of view, it would be possible for me to look and see what I could pick up from what Abraham teaches. Now, isn't that funny that you can combine surrender and desire like that? But remember, friends, 5D, okay? It's not either or anymore. We want to ditch either or. It's both and. And you can commonly look at things that way, and you'll find that you're very comfortable with it. It feels fine. All right? It just feels real. It feels like reality. And that's what I'm experiencing in my experience of what I'm calling 5D, which is living in heart. You don't have to leave one dimension to be present on another. We are present in and on all of the dimensions. It's where is our focus. Okay, so ascension, if anything, is the shifting of our focus, I guess, into a higher frequency. I can't see that dimensions are anything other than bands of frequency. I could be wrong. I could always be wrong, friends. But anyhow, this is just what my channel is. It's how I see things. All right, so you can have surrender if you're ready. I wouldn't get into Abraham. See, what happened here is that either my 12D friends or my guide or source or whatever saw to it that until the surrender was pretty well complete, Abraham was not on the horizon. Until the surrendering is done, I don't think you're ready to do the both and. All right, we've got to finish up the tail of the 3D spiral before, 3 and 4D, before picking up the both and. So you will know, heart will tell you the extent to which you're ready to begin to work with desire. Because if you haven't truly dropped your desires for things, then you might set yourself back a little bit, which is no big deal. It might even be fun, but you might set your quote unquote spiritual progress up the dimensions back just a little bit. And when we have desires, when we have intense feelings like that, there can be entities that resonate to that and that want to take a ride on that experience. And so it's more fun to be master of these things instead of mastered by them. Just like with the mind, we're discovering, oh my God, what fun it is to be stepping outside of it. And just the realization that we are not that is so huge. And the gulf, the door that it opens in our whole concept of reality, well, it's just amazing, isn't it? Well, I think this is analogous. And so it's kind of funny, because I guess what I'm saying is that some things are at least somewhat linear, but there is also this other. I told you I wasn't coming to you with total, complete, in the box solutions here. I'm working my way through. But what I see, and I'm going to play with it, I don't see, it seems to me, and it's an old idea, so I'm taking it out and looking at it. It's an old belief. So I'm looking at this plant in my belief garden. It seems to me that in order to have a desire, I lost my track. I don't feel any desire. It's going to be tricky. It's going to be tricky. But letting go, coming first, has been very useful, has been very helpful. As we step up into 5D, as we claim the reality that we already exist in 5D, our spiritual senses will be coming online. It's like we've had some blinders on, some governors on our motors, and we've had limitations placed on our perceptions. Now, we participated in this. No resentment, no anger, none of that. Own it. It's a playground. It was a part of the play that we signed on for. All right? So, but the thing is, the veils are thinning. They're falling away. And so we'll be seeing more things. We'll be perceiving more things. And my friends, there are entities. There are invisible beings of every stripe. And just because we're in 5D doesn't mean that there's nothing negative there. As a side note, I will refer you to the raw material, to the Law of One. I think that channeling brought forth the best understanding of how high up dimension-wise the service to self energy can go. And there is a ceiling beyond which they can't go. However, 5D isn't the ceiling. And so there's pluses and minuses. But as long as you're in balance, see, you've got pluses and minuses in you. We all do. We have good guy embodiments and we have bad guy embodiments. All right, so the point of everything is balance. and a coherent frequency, which is a balanced frequency. The peaks and the troughs are balanced. There's a consistency, a mastery, if you will. Okay? So, we are opening up to oh so much more. I think there's a lot of people that think that awakening means you're in heaven, you've ascended into the next dimension, and you're in heaven. Well, I just don't hold that set of beliefs. So I wish everyone well with whatever their set of beliefs is. I think a lot of people most people don't realize that they are creators. They are Source robed in flesh, and Source has the power to create. And we do that with our beliefs, with the focus of our attention, our thoughts, and so on. And so they will create an experience that seems like that for however long it's needed, for however long it's useful to them. But I don't quite see it that way. And so even now, there are, we know that the powers that manipulate mankind, we're aware of it. We see it in action wherever we look, whenever we turn on the TV, certainly the news. Well, what's that about? Why would they be doing that? I would suggest it's because they feed on lower frequency energy that's not in balance, the energy of hate and rage and upset and anxiety and most of all fear. I mean, that's a favorite. Okay, it's just gotten quite dark. I'll leave it that way. Forgive me, okay? You don't need to see the face. It's not who I am. Because the sun still might put in a show for us. Okay, so these beings, they are, for the most part, invisible, that are behind the scenes, kind of pulling the strings and running things. The ones that we think of as being in positions of power are much more puppets than they are puppeteers. And so they too are controlled and genetically modified and manipulated. I mean, I don't know whether they're aware of it or not, but that's what I see. So they like lower frequency energy. This is the programming of mind, is to keep us in fear and discomfort and anxiety, always worried, and never calm, centered, and balanced. So when we come into being calm, centered, and balanced, it's game over. The set, match, game, however you say it, it's done. And the rest of it is just the playing out, which is a major part of the fun. Okay? And so that's what we're in the process of doing. And it's funny. It's truly a mind pretzel to realize that all there is now. The permanent now. All of your lifetimes are just now. Now that's nice. It makes them very accessible. It's not like you've got to go anywhere and do anything. It's just now. But it's not something the 3D mind can comprehend. Well, now, that's okay. We have a higher mind that is way more competent to handle these things. So, no worries. Not only no good and bad, right and wrong, no judgment anymore, but no worries. No ability to even do anything wrong. All right, we are unfettered now. We are discovering self as source, or as an aspect of source, if you will. Work it so it fits for you, so it feels right. It doesn't have to be this way, the way I see it. Make it feel right for you. You want fast progress? Be true to you, not anybody else. Use everyone else, every other book, every other video, every other talking head as an advisor. You are the king, the queen. All right? You are the royalty. You are in charge of your life. And this will truly, vibrationally, begin to bring things in order, bring them into line, and accelerate, your motion. I don't know how to say it. So just read the vibration of what I'm trying to say here. All right, so we're looking at not having desire and at having desire at the same time. I'll have to play with that one. It's not talking to me anymore about how it works, because I'm not going to go gin up desires in the emotional body. I'm not going to get into that whole thing. But I do feel that as masters of form, we can manifest things. And I don't know that the way that Abraham teaches is the only way. I feel it's a legitimate way. It's just that a lot of times people, you've got to keep up with yourself. You've got to stay in your now and kind of keep your belief garden weeded, kind of be together, so that when you encounter something like an Abraham Hicks with a teaching like that you've got sufficient mastery to integrate it. Shall return. Very good. The rainbows are back. Okay. So, when we stick with now, when we stick with self and now, in a funny sort of way, not a 3D way, but in a funny sort of way, our ducks are in a row. There's more mastery there. There's more presence. I think that might be what it is. You see, we're present all over the place. We're present in all of those other lifetimes. In this lifetime, as well as in those, we're present in all those other dimensions. And most of us are sleepling and sheepling along in this lifetime, pretty much due to the way mind has been manipulated by the powers that were and their structuring of the society in the West, on planet Earth. Okay. Now this just is. This isn't something to be angry or resentful or any of that about. I find myself pretty much empty and absent those emotions. Now that's not to say they're not in there and they could come up in the next 60 seconds, all right? But for the most part, I don't, it's like it's gone. That's how it seems to me. And love and compassion have pretty much taken over. And they form the lenses I look through to see just about anything, whatever it is. And so that gives the entities a hard time with me. I'm not something that they want to mess with too much. When your vibration gets high enough, first of all, it hurts them. They're lower vibrational, and it's like being burned or singed or shocked or something. And unless they can manipulate you to produce some of that lower order energy, they've got no use for you anyway. You're just, persona non gratis. You're nothing to them. And so it's really interesting being betwixt and between. At least I'm finding it so. Because I'm not really claiming any grand mastery here. I know that I have it complete, whole, and total. Now, manifesting it visibly in 3D is something I'm playing with. It's just not something I've gone after. Some people try to raise the Kundalini. Some people try to open the chakras. Some people try to astral travel, remote view, all these different things, and I'm just not interested. I don't go for any of it. The philosophy, if there is one behind that, is that I trust Source to bring me in my now what's appropriate. And that's why when an Abraham Hicks video comes my way, I don't let mine say, oh, you were through with him years ago, move along. I'm present and open and don't go for too much in the way of broad generalizations. There's always an exception to whatever it is. So the empty cup is a really cool thing. At least I have found it to be. All right. Am I complete here? No, I am not. Well, I don't know where I'm going then. What next? What next indeed? Okay. I haven't done this before. I've given it some thought, however. And so I think I'll invite the 12D to speak on this or whatever they want to speak on and just see what they have to say. And that way maybe I can do it live and not be concerned with distinguishing between when it's them talking and when it's me. In the written journals, I do that by the indenting, or the not indenting. All right, I feel awkward with this. Oh, a bird just flew up so gracefully to the water dish there. All right, dear 12D friends, I invite you into my life, into my world, into my video, my journal, to share with us and to speak what you will. And it's interesting because I've never actually heard you through my own voice. It's always been my fingers on the keyboard. We do so welcome this, Teresa Ann. We have waited a long time. And I know you laugh because we have no concept of waiting. But we'll say with you, it's a 3D thing. It's a part of the play-out world where things are linear and where they do take time. You are concerning the teaching of Abraham, have quite a bit of it right on, but not all, and there are some holes in it that we will let you fill in. We will, however, offer our ideas on some of what you're discussing. You say you need a car. We agree. It's practical. It is also the case that it's possible to manifest without going the emotional intensity of desire route. That is one way, but that's a lower density way to approach it. You don't find the masters of the Himalayas manifesting a meal for those that they are with based on an intensity of desire. It's manifested based on a mastery of the energies. As you rightly say, you're a few spirals up the spiral of light, and so you will do perhaps the same things, only do them differently. You all will. And yes, rightly so, you say you are in 5D. We say, welcome home. You are just now fitting yourselves into it. There are still many old beliefs in the way. They will come up. It's the natural order of things, so that you may view them and make your choice to keep or discard. And it's also true that at some point, and we know you're aware of this, there will be no beliefs at all. Your belief garden will be empty. Interesting. So your belief garden will be empty earth, tilled soil, absent beliefs, no more plants there. You will have instead simple knowing, simple awareness. There is no need to cultivate a belief garden past a certain point. And in your, it's not a march, but in your march toward 5D, you will find yourselves more and more eliminating false beliefs. It's good for a time, just as you've been doing and teaching, to plant new beliefs. This is the fastest way to reprogram the mind, to undo what the Illuminati have done in the programming of mankind. Because when you plant a new belief, when you choose an element of your reality, something you choose to believe in, it does flush out all of the old programming that was preventing you from seeing that, much less believing it. And so it empowers you and it accelerates your progress. So, again, what we would like to draw your attention to is the process. Life, especially in 3D, is about the process, the time. It's not about results. And the Abraham clip that you are including, we thoroughly approve of. It's very enjoyable presentation of just this very thing. Life is in the living. Life itself is in the moment. It's the mind that has been programmed to think it's in the result. It's in the fixing. It's in the solution. It's in the end. It's in the whatever it is I want to attain. And this is most certainly not the case. And the way life is structured, you can spend many lifetimes pursuing these beliefs, pursuing life based on these beliefs. We're glad to see so many people awakening. The veils are dropping, but for much of humanity, this isn't being noticed. They're not able to see due to the faulty programming and their faulty sense of reality. Now, they are certainly welcome to it. Free will is the case, and so you do get to make choices. It is those of you who have chosen to awaken that are more able to perceive the fact that you're in 5D. And yes, you have been all along, and so you're really not in a different state than your mates who are sleeping through. It's just a time shift. You were in 5D all of your life before you became aware of it, just completely unaware, which is where they are now. So, isn't it interesting? This is the power of belief. And so we wanted to share that and to support your sharing about the process. Before we go, Teresa Ann, we ask that you share your experience with your cat this morning. Well, thank you, my friends. That's very interesting. I'll be going over this later. This is me now, not them. I'll be going over this later to take in more of what's been said here. But I did indeed have the most special experience of my life with a four-legged this morning. Putting words to it is another thing entirely. Priscilla, those of you that have been with me a few years would have seen my Siamese cat. She's one of the invisibles now. But she taught me. There's a love that is very, very intense that flows in me. And I would focus that on her and be petting her, and sometimes even just have the tears of delight, of love, of joy. And she would reach up and gently scratch my face. And the first time it really hurt my feelings. I didn't understand. But I was watching, and I noticed that it was when I was focusing this intensity, and I wasn't trying to focus an intensity, it's just when I was experiencing this intensity of love for her that she would reach up and do that. And so, I guess we can't quite call me an animal communicator yet, but I got it. Eventually I got it. She was saying, "Mom, that hurts. That's too much." you know. The intensity on that is too much for me. And so I learned to throttle down my energies and be respectful of her. Okay, that was then, this is now. This kitty, the little black kitty I have that I've called Moonlight, is, I think she could be a two-legged. I mean, she's just so present. And I think I've mentioned Ken, my healer friend in Montana. It was so unusual. She just felt so unusual to me. Beautiful. Just the energy was beautiful. And I had him look and see, can you figure it out? Why do I feel this way? And he was able to report that she was an amazing animal, that she had been big cats, you know, lions and tigers and things like that in her other lifetimes. And it's very interesting that she would come in as a very dainty little petite house cat. But anyway, she did. And that I would be blessed and drawn to the Humane Society at the time that she was passing through to adopt her. And it's just been a love match. And I think most of you know what it is to love a pet. And you know the intensity that can be there. There are many, like my brother, you know, that the intensity was such that when the pet crossed over, he couldn't bear it. It was too much, and so he won't have another inside cat because of it. So we know what it is to share our heart and our love with an animal. This maximized that exponentially. It was a sharing of love that she participated in every bit as much as I did. And I was able to go full throttle and not hold back my feelings, but to truly delve into the intensity. It's just the pleasure of being in the now moment with the warm, purring flesh under the fur that you're petting. I was laying here, and pillows all around me, and she came and curled up right across my chest, and she kept trying to get closer. She was cuddling in her way, and my heart, something happened. I don't know. It was, that's it. Fifth dimensional experience of love goes beyond what we've experienced in 3D. It got the whole body, I mean, involved somehow with the feel of the energies flowing. Even the bottoms of my feet were kind of vibrating, you know? And my heart felt like it just opened and opened again and again and just opened wider. The appreciation is beyond words. It's a forever thing. It's an amazement. Now, why the 12Ds wanted me to share this is a mystery. But there it is. If you're in heart, you will have been able, okay, folks, you're in 5D as well. Okay, this experience is available to you. I am you. You are me. Those of us sufficiently brave and daring can go into heart and experience this directly. Now again, it's like a little child learning to walk. It's a new dimension for us. It's not that they're new abilities, and it's not that it's a new dimension, but it's just something that we're not currently used to. The whole spiel. And there doesn't need to be a story. That's just the reality. We're not currently used to it. You have abilities beyond anything mind can comprehend. So leave mind out of it. Go into heart. Tune in with me. And this is 5:29. So it was, I don't know what hours. It was before noon, 6 to 8. I don't know when. And it went on, I'd say probably for at least an hour. It was just, come and experience it. Come and feel it. When we go into heart, my friends, we are in superposition. This is not philosophical. It's reality, if you choose to claim it. And I suspect that has something to do with why the 12Ds wanted me to share that. Okay, well, we've got a 3-parter, thanks to the phone ringing twice. Don't you love it when it's private name, private number? I don't answer my phone much. So anyway, see you again whenever you're ready to find me in heart. Namaste.